So thanks so much for watching Talking 360. I'm Tony Scott, and with me is Jo Lena Johnson, and we are doing a series of shows about publishing your first book. Jo Lena is a international trainer. She teaches people, she trains people, not just in writing books, but leadership skills, communication skills. It has taken her around the world, and she is sharing her information with you on how to get your book out of your brain and into a word processing program, and then to the printer, and then to the stores, and then option for a movie. I don't know, but
into the universe.
Into the universe is probably the quickest way to get it out there. She's publisher of her own books. She's authored 5. She's published about 20 through her company, Mission Possible Press. And this episode, Jo Lena, we are going to talk about 7 things that you need to keep in mind as you complete your book, because it's a process. It's not just about writing it and getting it published and putting it out there. There's more to it, unless you just want to do it just for the heck of it. So tell us about these 7 things.
Okay, 7 things to keep in mind as you complete your book. Number 1, tell your story. Number 2, speak your truth. Number 3, give details which are compelling and from your heart. Number 4, keep things interesting. Number 5, don't try to impress. Number 6, use the 7 to 9 or 12 concept, and I'll explain that. And then 7, don't try to edit as you are writing.
Really? Don't try to edit as you're writing?
Yes. Okay.
Because when you write a book, you can't be necessarily on a deadline, right? It has to be very organic, doesn't it?
That's not what I mean. We're not editing
Okay.
we're not editing our conversation. We're just flowing, right?
Right.
So we know that we're doing this episode. We know we want to say 7 things. We know that we want to give context, and we want people to understand. So we're not editing along the way saying, wait, I should have said this, or I should have said that. We're just conversing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want to do when you do your book. You want to have a conversation. What do readers want to know? They don't need big words. Keep it simple. They don't need a whole bunch of information. What is your story? What is the story you want to tell? Like Jack and Jill went up a hill. That's the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tony wanted to have a podcast. That's the story. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jo Lena wants people to live better lives. That's the story. Now speak your truth. Why do I want people to have better lives? Because we act up all the time and we need some help.
Right,
okay?
right.
Give details which are compelling from the heart. I'm tired of seeing people act up. I was acting up. I wanted to do something differently, and I found some things that work for me, and I can help you too. So let's stop acting up and do better, right?
Okay.
Keep things interesting. What do people want to know? You got to be fun. You got to put some flowery things in, but don't bullcrap people. That's why it says don't try to impress.
But how do you put flowery things in when your book has a lot of, like, I've interviewed people who've had tragic lives and they've written very compelling books, but how do you flower that up? I guess you how do you do that?
Okay. Well, there's a book called Born with Pride, Cherishing Family Values by an 83-year-old author, Martha Ramsey. And one of the things that happened was, she's 83 now. Okay. So she kind of skipped over when we were writing her book about the fact that her dad wasn't her dad. And I said, wait a minute, what you mean your dad wasn't your dad? And she's like, well, he wasn't my dad. And I said, well, tell me about it. So then come to find out, she found out because a neighbor woman had told her that her daddy wanted to see her, but she thought that daddy that was her daddy wasn't her daddy. So that's kind of tragic. But if you tell it, just tell it all. And people will say, oh my God, that happened to me. Or I know somebody that happened to. So although it's a serious topic, just tell it. I was standing in the yard minding my business, and the neighbor woman said, your daddy wants to see you. And I was like, what you mean? I thought he was in the house.
So I guess me being a novice at this, my mistake was associating flowery with humor. Then that's not necessarily what you're talking about.
Not necessarily, but it's just true, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could sit here, and I know everybody says, okay, try to keep it under 2 minutes when you do these things, or try to keep it under 5 minutes. Well, you know what? Hey, if it's going to take a little longer and people are interested, they're going to watch. You don't want to go for 45 minutes, but at the same time, if you have a story to tell and it's good and it matters to them, they're going to watch and they're going to pay attention, or they're going to read it. And everybody is not your audience. That's what people need to keep in mind. You have to tell your story. Everybody does not care about your story. That's
no offense.
It's just true. Right?
It's true.
So you have to find the people who need to know what you have. So if you have someone who, if you are writing about your special needs child, for example, There are a whole bunch of people who have, maybe a child is getting ready to be born, or maybe they've been born and they've been struggling, and there's hell in their household, literally, and they could just use a few tips. And if you just said, you know what, these are 7 things that we did to help our special needs child, and you just put that out, a blog post, a podcast, or a book, there you're telling your story, and you can be done with it, but now you've shared your wisdom with the other people.
Right. That to me, that makes perfect sense. And what you say is so key, that your book isn't for everybody.
Yes.
I believe there's an audience for everybody, but what you have to say isn't for everybody.
That's right. Because
because not everybody's going to watch Arsenio.
Yes.
Right? Not everybody is going to like my radio show, although I don't know why, but it's still true.
Because you're kind of corny.
yeah, okay, well,
and you have a big heart,
but
and you love your daughter. I mean, who does that? What man talks about how much he loves his daughter? But guess what, Tony? You know why people love you? It's because you have the heart to talk about your daughter. When a lot of men say, I'm hurt because I don't talk to my daughter, or we don't have a good relationship, and you have the heart to do it, that's why people listen, even though you're corny.
Well, I think I'm just going to end this right now. No, so you talked about use the 7 to 9 or 12 concept, and you said you were going to explain that. Is it time for that?
Yeah, real quick. It could be 7 days. It can be 7 different years. It could be 7 different relationships. It could be 7 different jobs. Pick 7 different lessons, 7 different feelings. It doesn't matter. So when I'm saying 7, 9, or 12, if you just decide up front that these are the 7 things I need to do, then we can do it. Like, the reason we're able to finish this quickly is because we know what we're talking about. We've decided there's 7 things to keep in mind as you write your book. Now we can just do that. Now, after that, we can add stuff. Because after we finish this, you're going to edit. You're going to add something to the front. You're going to add something to the back. And then it's done. But we knew what we were doing.
Don't tell my secrets.
I just tell it all. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So how did you arrive at the numbers 7, 7 to 9, and 12? How did that become the sweet spot?
Well, if you really want to know, I'm going to tell you now.
All
7
right.
is the number of completion.
Okay.
And 12, you know about 12. The 12 tribes, 12 months, all kinds of stuff, okay? So what I'm saying is those are good numbers. And it doesn't have to be long, because you can give more examples. But if you start off and say, this is the context, I'm going to talk about my 7 favorite outfits or my 7 favorite songs. And then once I know this is my favorite song, why is Always and Forever one of my favorite songs? Why is Reunited? I'm gonna tell you a little story real quick. Reunited, and it feels so good. Whenever I hear that, I think about my first slow dance in Stacy's basement with Jimmy when I was in 3rd grade.
No.
Woo! Now, that's it. That's the story. And I'm done.
She said, woo!
I'm done. Now we can stop. That's how you do it. So you say, okay, 7 songs. What do these 7 songs remind me of? What feelings do I have? That's it. And you just tell that story.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it right there. 7 things to keep in mind as you complete your book. This is part 2 in a series that we're doing because we think you have a book inside you. And Jo Lena is excellent at helping you, 3 books inside you, at getting your message out. And we're going through this little by little. And email addresses are at the bottom of the screen. And if you got questions, we'd love to get your questions. And in our next segment, we are going to be, let me get it right over here, what to do when you think you are finished writing in 5 steps. So we'll have that in our next segment. Jo Lena, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you in our next episode. I'm Tony Scott, and thank you for watching Talking 360.